is. The fib is just to help us draw it easier. But yeah, that's probably your most important level on the screen right now. Here, I'll delete everything. So main things to have. So I like to do this too, and I really hope all of you can understand this. Try to ignore the right side of the chart. Just ignore it for a second. So like have it to where you're only focused on your previous day's price action. And the reason you're doing this is because you want to be in the mindset of being able to go over things before the next day has started, right? So if I'm over here and I'm charting things, there's going to be a part of you that wants to do things a certain way because it's like, oh, well, look how it did this. It's like, why on God's green earth would you draw that level? You wouldn't. You would never draw that level. The only reason you're drawing it is because you see that it worked. So I don't like to do that. It's a little evil. So go over to your previous day. Okay, right there. And like that. Okay, so now we just have Friday in front of our eyes. So main levels you need to have every day. From low to the high. And then mark whatever your 50% is like you and we were going over. Which I'm off by an entire cent. Oh no. And sometimes you'll see me throw this up as a dotted line or an orange line, but regardless, you're going to see me add it. Why did I zoom out? Force a habit. And then your previous day low, previous day high. Right? We don't really have anything else to grab because your open is really close to your low. Your close is right there. We go into the next day. And this is why we were able to point out that the area between the high and the area between the previous day close was a buffer zone. Like, yes, you could take trades between here. We're not saying you couldn't. We're just saying that not as great of trades are going to be here, right? The beginnings of trades, the preparation, the setup of a trade is going to pop up between here most likely. That's why we call it the buffer zone. It's not like a real term or anything. It's just what it is. Between the high and the close because they're so tight together. So we understand that. So now we know outside of this area, we can look for longs if we get any good setups on top of that. So now we know, okay, well, 50-50, if I get anything out on top of that, now my probability increases that I get better plays to the upside. We got one decent move, failed. So it already kind of cut that to shit in the very first attempt. Now we need to see a lot more show up for me to be confident in buyers again. We didn't really get anything else. They popped up under again. So now I'm kind of getting that information before it's even happened. We understand there's some struggle here. We got back under it. We're seeing more struggle. I should already know that there's going to be more struggle probably occurring. Now, should you know this fat-ass red candle is going to appear? No. But you are expecting price to go towards previous day close because of this. Because of this. But it all started with the struggle way back here where we thought we were going to be bullish. So it's just good to have levels you can have before the next day has started. And levels that you can break down things from and be like, okay, well, this is where I was going to be bullish from. If it did this, I was going to be more bullish. If it does this, I was going to be not as bullish. It's going to break down possibly. And that's why Carter, good update by him, he's saying that if we do move down, we're probably going to go down here. And if we're going to sell off more, it needs to happen from here because this is the previous day halfway point. This is the only other notable level in the area. So in a way, this is what you look like. Give me a second. So in a way, this is pretty much where you're looking for your trades. You can look for moves outside of this and this, and between here you understand you're mainly just picking up on information. These are probably where a lot of your beginnings are going to be, your setups, your retests are going to happen from. And then anything outside of that, anything lower, we can look for moves under this. You can even look for bounces because we understand this is a high impact area. As long as we're above it, we should be more bullish than bearish. As long as we're below it, we should be more bearish than bullish. Same thing as our open. It's a pivot point. We're under the open, but we're above the halfway point. So what can we expect? A lot of bullshit consolidation between, whoops, I thought I was on my other tool. Between here and here. And these are things you could have said and figured out before any of these candles appeared here today. Now it's up to the market to give you that opportunity. Is it always going to give you one? No. So you also need to be in understanding that, okay, even if I get the most beautiful setup ever, I might not get follow through. That actually happened today twice. One to the upside, one to the downside. I'd say the downside got a little bit more follow through, but you didn't get any follow through. It didn't leave anything. We're still at this level. We're still under this level. We haven't gone anywhere. You know what I mean? So make sure you're drawing these high impact areas every day. And I'll do my best to repost them in the Discord as well. Just check out the levels channel and you'll see them in there. But yeah. And you'll sometimes see me draw these arrows, but I don't like to do them sometimes because like in this instance, you can see there's so many. You know, somebody might look at this and it might be overwhelming. But in reality, I'm just trying to make it a little easier to understand where you should and shouldn't be looking for trades based on levels we have every single day. So the levels aren't the problem. The setups aren't the problem. It's the execution. The greatest thing for the explanation. I had some of the same drawing except for the PDCP. That's fine. It's fine. But now you know. So and I generally have like levels of importance on them, Nard. Like I would say your most important levels every day are going to be your current day open for direction, your current day open, and your previous day control point. I would say these two levels are your most important levels every day, and they're two levels that you will have every day. So being bullish or bearish below, above, doesn't matter. Where are they? Where's your price action at? Where's your positioning? If we're... I don't want to give you too many theoretical scenarios because you're going to find a fuck ton of them on your own as we move on day to day. So I don't want to overwhelm you, but these are your two most important pivot points of every day. And sometimes you'll see me say the previous day close, the previous day open as well. But you could see like how well spaced out they are every day. You know, and in some instances they're not. They're going to be really close. Does that ruin anything for you? No. That just shows that there's an area that's close together. So let's say these areas were close together. Like let's say previous day closes right here. Then sometimes you'll see me just highlight them both. Because I'm like, you know what? It's not just one or the other. It's both. I need to watch both areas. You know what I mean? Now, I didn't do that today. We were just saying that this was a buffer zone between previous day high and the close. We were saying between here, we probably won't get a lot of crazy trades, but setups for trades will be in between here. And we were right, but a little hard to navigate today. It's not about being right either. You don't want to. You should never give a shit about being right or wrong. You're more or less trying to be correct on what you were assuming on your preemptive conversation with yourself. Okay, well I said if I was gonna get down here and hold, I'd buy calls. I said if I struggled against here, I'd short, and if it picks up under this, I'll grab more, or maybe I'll scale out some because I'm starting to understand. Oh, we're pulling back. I'm getting my move. You know, so it's also stuff like that. But yeah, every day though, definitely have at least these couple levels marked. Your previous day open and close, your today's open, and then that fancy, which you said you already had all those marked. Your fancy previous day, halfway point. If you can get those, you'll have a 10 times better sense of direction every day. Then it just comes down to, oh, I like this lower high right here. I like this lower high right here. And then you go down to the 1 minute. And then you go and you try to find an actual candlestick pattern that gets you in. You know, that's fine. But now you have at least a setup or a system on how you're going to try to find better trades or better opportunities. And it's crazy. People have been trying to copy my system for years and reteach it to their people, and they never get it right. And they always fail. Their people always unsubscribe. And the reason is because they don't have the order of operations. They don't understand the whole priority thinking. Oh, this is my most important level every day. Oh, this is my other most important level every day. If I'm below this, I'm bearish. But I'm above this still. What am I? You know, people freak out because they see a scenario they didn't think was something they could plan out around. You know, you can plan around everything. Your answer just might not always be what you think it is. You know, some people think like, oh, well, I got to be bullish or bearish. There's also just not doing anything. There's also going to be an instance where, like today, we don't touch shit because there's a buffer zone that we just don't like, and there's too many setups popping up in between there. You know, it's about making the decision before the market's even open around those key high impactful areas. And then when it comes to acting on it, you should just be doing it. There should be no thinking involved. Because you already talked about this with yourself beforehand. That's why I like this the most. You can't really bullshit yourself. You can't bullshit a bullshitter with this system. Can't go broke taking profits 100%. So calls to today's open is a good scalp right now. Calls to today's open. No. Because you got to use your context. Right? If you were talking about like this right here, yeah, sure. But now we have other information, Nard. We see that we've broken down under today's open. We've retested away from it. We've moved down into this next area, moved down again. You know, so unless we're getting lucky and we're getting a better setup down here where there's consolidation made, then we shouldn't be looking for calls in today's open. What do we have here? We have a single candle reaction. This is still a downtrend under today's open. Yes, we're above the halfway point, but now that we're all the way up here, our positioning isn't that great, right? We only have so much room to today's open right here. So from here to here, is that really that great of a trade? Not really. It would have been better taken if we had done something down here. Did we have anything down here that could have gotten us in? I mean, you could sit there and bullshit yourself and say that you like this wick and that this was good enough for you to get in, but that's not good enough for me. I need more information first. I would say a better risk-reward trade if you were just shooting in the wind right here, right now, which I wouldn't. It's already almost 11, which is getting almost close to the second phase of the day. You're getting to the part of the chart where it actually looks better for shorts. If you get up into this right here and you reject again right here, like this, or probably right here because this can be a lower high of that, then you have good risk-reward for downside. But what else do we have in the way now? Previous day close. And what did we just do above previous day close? We just produced a fat ass green candle and then pushed back above it again. So we're kind of back into square one again like we were over here. We're in a buffer zone. I don't really like trades in between here right now. But you see how I'm using my recent context of like, oh, well, this just happened. So now I'm thinking this. Oh, well, this just happened. Now I'm thinking that. You got to use that recent context or it isn't helpful. Because if the day had started and we were like, yeah, calls from here to here look great. Sure, I would agree with you. But we're not at that part of the day. We're almost into lunchtime now, and we have made significant moves to the downside. I have that information now. I didn't have that earlier. So you got to also use your context. It's like reading a book left to right. You know, you're going to read this book. If I didn't read the book, right, I wouldn't understand what this is. But if I read the book, then it's like, okay, well, now I understand that this needs to happen for that to happen. It can't just do this on its own. You know what I mean? You got to use that recent context to make sense of what's happening around those key areas, right? You're not just marking random areas, and you're not just covering random movements now. Now you're actually tacking down the story of what's actually happening in front of you, and then you'll be able to feel out what are the better probabilities of what I can do next. Right now, you should probably be looking at shorts. But like I just explained, it's not really that comfortable because we're getting into the lunchtime part of the day, right? So, I don't know. Right now, not the greatest time. If that, then this. Exactly. Be conditional. If this, then I'm going to do that. If that happens, then I'm going to do this. If this happens, that should happen. If that happens, this should happen. Always covering it before anything. It's weird to talk about that out loud because it's like it feels like something that you're only thinking about, but it is very a part of your trade. Also, draw fib from. Wait, I gotta read that again. Also, draw from high of day to low of day, plus being in the no trade / information zone between previous day close, previous high. Price is betting / gathering its footing. Just need to sit tight and wait for more. Okay, that's what I thought you said. Honestly, I don't know why I was stuttering through that so hard. I think HOB threw me off, but I instantly knew what you meant. That's on me, Maddie. But yes, no, Maddie is right. Like he said, it's in the area where it's just kind of getting its information. It's getting its footing. That's a really good way of putting it. No, you're good, Maddie. That was me. I should have read through that. I went stupid for 2 seconds there. But no, Maddie has a good grip on that. Exactly. Also cool to see someone else type it out too, because it's like, all right, Nard, you see I'm not crazy? I know I'm not crazy, but you feel crazy when you talk about these things out loud, because it's like, you start to understand, you're like, wait a minute, this is actually really complex, but not at the same time. Like, first time explaining it, yeah, it doesn't really make sense. A couple times going through it, it's like, wow, this is actually super simple. But yeah, so I would definitely tie in like order of operations and the phases of the day into that, which gives you good context. Yeah, so this one, it's less than 7 minutes. This is a pretty good video, though. I'll just relink them. And then the order of operations in trading, part 1 and 2. I would say these will give you good insight on how to take advantage of the context in front of you. The phases of the day will also cut up the chart in a different way that you probably haven't seen. Which Ace has a really cool conversation on this too, because I didn't know that other people do this, but you can split up the time, the day by times, market closes, but you don't need to be hearing all this. But yeah, check it out though. I hope you enjoy those. I think that'll give you extra insight on what you were talking about too. But these are good. This is a good conversation though, Nard, and I actually really appreciate you for doing this.